Hello, my name is Alex Rober with South Dakota DENR. And today I'm going to show you how to calibrate your YSI multimeter. Now today I have an XO1 YSI multimeter with me. First thing before calibrating anything, I'm going to power up my handheld. I'm also going to power up my sonde. In your kit you should find a magnet that looks just similar as the one I have in my left hand. And what you do is you wave it over your sonde right where at the magnet sign right here. You should see a blue light pop up. This will mean that your sonde is activated. Okay, first we're going to start with conductivity. So what I do, I'm going to take off my cup, discharge any leftover water that's in the cup, take my conductivity solution, just pour a little bit in there, put the cup back on my sonde, tighten the cup back down, and I just gently swish it back and forth. We're going to do a pre-rinse. So what we're doing is we're going to just swish just a little bit of conductivity solution to get any contamination that might be on our probes or on the guard. This just ensures that we get a better calibration value. We're then going to discharge a little bit of solution. So I'm going to fill my cup to the bottom, just above the bottom line. You can see the cup has two lines. So you have your bottom line, this is your minimal fill line for calibrating, and then you have the top line, this is the maximum fill line. So I always fill the cup about just above the bottom line. You shouldn't have to go any farther than that. The tip of our probe is submerged in the conductivity solution. So what I do is I'm going to tighten the cup, keep it vertical so the tip is still submerged in this conductivity solution, and we go to our handheld. For calibrating conductivity, we're going to go with calibration, conductivity. We want to calibrate. We always select specific conductivity. On your bottles, you'll have a standard value on your conductivity. We get our conductivity solution from the South Dakota Health Lab, and they put a standard value of 1410 on here. So we're going to adjust our calibration value to 1410. We're going to enter in our calibration value. We're going to watch our actual readings with what we want to calibrate it to and see if this number, the actual readings, changes. We got the green check mark. We'll push OK. So we have the time, what our calibration value was to, or pre-cal value, and we got a QC score of OK, so it gives me confidence that we got a good calibration value. Alright, now that we've finished our conductivity, we're now going to move on to our pH. So I'm going to first start with my pH 7. So we're going to do roughly the same process as we did with the conductivity. We're going to take off our cup. We're going to dump out any water. We're then going to take our pH 7 solution, pour a little bit in, We're going to tighten our cup. Again, swishing around so we can kind of get rid of that any leftover conductivity solution. You shouldn't have to do this much because there shouldn't really be that much conductivity solution that is left over. Discharge it. Again, then we're going to fill our cup to just above the bottom line. All right, that's good. Reinsert our sonde into the cup, tighten the cup down. Our pH sensor is submerged in the water. We'll leave it vertical. We'll go back to our handheld. Okay, we have filled up our cup with pH 7 solution. Before we get started, I just wanted to let whoever's listening know that we are using last year's tips, pH tips, so they have expired. They're past their use date. As you can tell that it's measuring a 5.33 pH, so that to me this is a good sign that the pH tips are expired. So, but again, this video is a training video and is to walk through how to calibrate your sonde. So to get started, we're going to go to calibrate. We're going to go down to pH, calibrate again. All right, so we're first going to look at our reference temperature right here. This is important because pH fluctuates with temperature. So to know what we're going to put in as our calibration value, we're going to look on the back of our bottle. So if we here we have our 7 pH bottle, and if the table right here, we're going to set our calibration value with how our temperature. So our reference temperature is 23 degrees Celsius. So it's just almost quite with 25 degrees Celsius, which is 7 pH, which I'm just going to go with 7.00 as my pH value. So that's what we're going to type in on our calibration value. Okay. Now, after we have set our calibration value, we're then gonna, it's always good to watch our millivolts right here, our pH millivolts, to see if it keeps fluctuating. And so we want it to very well stabilize. We do have a green check mark, which means that sonde is, the handheld has a QA/QC tester in it, and it's saying that we are good to go. And our millivolts has just barely, has mostly been stabilized, so I'm going to click accept calibration. Now we'll move on to pH 10. Alright, now that we're done with our pH 7, we're going to then move on to our pH 10. So we're going to take pH 7, toss it aside. We have our pH 10 bottle. Let's first clean out this. Put our cup back on, tighten. Swish the liquid around. Discharge. Oh, getting ahead of myself here. All right, now we're gonna fill the cup with our pH 10 solution. cup back on, tighten it down, leave it vertical, pH probe is submerged in our water or solution. We'll go back to our handheld. Okay, we have just filled our cup up with pH 10 solution. Our reference temperature is 23 degrees Celsius. So just like the pH 7, we're going to look in the back of our bottle. And at 25 degrees Celsius, this pH 10 buffer measures a 10.01. Since we're at 23 degrees C, we need to adjust our pH properly. So I'm going to go 10.02. So that's what I have set my calibration value at, is 10.02. Again, after we have set our calibration value, we're going to keep watching our millivolts to wait until it does stabilize. This could take a while sometimes. It just depends on how old your pH tip is. If they're brand new, the process usually goes pretty fast. You usually don't have to wait very long, but towards the end of the summer, they could be 4 or 5 months old. They've had extended use on them. It might take a while for them to stabilize. After it does stabilize, we're going to accept the calibration value. And then we're going to finish. Now this has a QA reading on it saying that my calibration may produce inaccurate readings because our pH readings and the calibration readings were so far off. So again, if this does come up, push no. So it'll reject your calibration. Now, if it does accept it, it'll then give you a summary of what happened. So I'll pull that up. So once you accept your pH 10 and then you finish calibration for your pH, you'll then be given a screen similar to the one as you see here. This is a previous old calibration record that I pulled up, but it gives a date, time, your cal values, your temperature, your reference temperature values, then a slope percent, which would show what type of error you might have in your calibration. And then finally it gives a QA or QC score okay. These records are good for you to go back later in the summer if you're wish-washy on if you think the data is valid or not. You can at least use these cal values as a reference. So now we are done with pH. We'll then move on to dissolved oxygen.